Our next speaker is Amber, who is a chair of the University of Manchester's Feminist Collective Society, who is also our partner for this event, which we're really grateful for. Amber has chosen to speak today because, as she said, she's tired of the scrutiny that women face under the patriarchy. Amber, we're delighted to have you with us, and the floor is yours.
Thanks so much for having me, for partnering with us on this as well. So I'm Amber. I do history at the University of Manchester, and I'm currently chairing the university's Feminist Society. Very grateful to be invited to speak today. I'm going to be talking about the recent release of WAP by Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. And I am going to be saying some swear words as well in this, just as a warning. So on August the 7th, earlier this month, Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion dropped their newest single, WAP. To clarify, WAP stands for Wet Ass Pussy, censored as wet and gushy. The music video accompanying the song featured Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion dancing in the WAP Funhouse, a house featuring nude door handles and a host of wild animals. A week later, Russell Brand posted a video to YouTube in which he dubbed the music video pornography. It seems as though men are both unable to conceptualize the male gaze in the first place, but also struggle to conceptualize women taking ownership of their sexuality outside of the same male gaze. I'm going to explore the release of WAP, both the reactions to its release and its merit as art in itself, in relation to various aspects of the intersectional feminist movement today. And I'm choosing to do this because I believe that grounding the themes of today's discussions in such a recent controversy helps emphasize the continued need for intersectional feminist activism. As Dr. Hussein said, this is not something that just needs to be talked about on International Women's Day. It's ongoing and it's constant. 3 months before the release of WAP in May this year, Lana Del Rey posted a note titled "Question to the Culture" on her Instagram. Del Rey began this controversial post by comparing herself to and criticizing a group of mainly Black women, including Cardi B. She claimed this group of women, naming Beyonce and Nicki Minaj among others, wrote songs about being sexy, wearing no clothes, fucking, cheating, etc., and compared her own music to tackling themes of being embodied and feeling beautiful by being in love. If you read the statement in full, it is painfully clear that Del Rey positioned beauty and feeling embodied in opposition to being sexy or engaging in sexual acts. This is a tactic that is often used within our patriarchal system, and it only serves to shame women for their sexuality. Not only did Del Rey imply that to be sexual is to be lesser, she, a white woman, also chose to directly target the sexualities of several Black women. An interesting, but perhaps unsurprising choice from a woman who chooses to emulate second wave feminism. It is no coincidence that Del Rey targeted Black women in this instance. Black women, as has been mentioned earlier, occupy a space that experiences both sexism and racism, resulting in the form of oppression known as misogynoir. When we examine the sexuality of white women, it is through a patriarchal lens. When we examine the sexuality of Black women, it is through a patriarchal and a colonial lens. As P.H. Collins writes, the fear and fascination of female sexuality was projected onto Black women. Black women are not allowed to play with their sexuality in the same nuanced way that white women are. Black women's perception as exotic only heightens the sexual objectification that they face. Society has an issue with Black women being sexually empowered. It is a threat to the status quo, and it is a shock to the straight male community who cannot fathom women being sexually satisfied without them. Cardi B's faced a lot of criticism in her time, so I highly doubt she was shocked to the world's reaction to WAP. I also highly doubt that this is the last time the world will react so violently to a sexually explicit song written by and for women. What I don't doubt is that this song is a much needed anthem for women. Its entire length is dedicated to different ways of having sex. And let's be honest, it probably taught us more than many of our school sex education classes did. There continues to be a claim that female sexuality and sexual performance are inherently exploitative, objectifying, and for the male gaze. We need to question this. The male gaze is the exploitative and objectifying force. It is not, and it never has been, women's bodies. There is nothing provocative about the human body. If you need any proof, look no further than the human nipple. When it's only women who are being asked to cover up their nipples, regardless of any other factor of their existence, it begs the question of who the nipple is being covered up for. It's not society, because if it was society, men would also have to cover their nipples. It's not women, because women are increasingly taking joy in going bra-free and letting their nipples show through their clothes. It is the male gaze. It has only ever been the male gaze, and it will continue to only ever be the male gaze. It is noticeable that descriptions like scantily clad or provocatively dressed are rarely, if ever, used about men. In their music video, both Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion wear several different bodysuits, all figure hugging and some cut out as well. I want to highlight here that I had to spend a few minutes searching for a word to describe the outfits that wasn't loaded with patriarchal judgment. Revealing, daring, suggestive, and even slutty came to my mind faster than the actual description of the outfit. It is worth noting how our language upholds the culture that we exist in. Dress codes are only ever there to control us. That is a fact. Women face oppressive amounts of judgment with regards to their clothes. I attended a single-sex girls' school with no uniform from age 11 upwards. And every year our school and the brother school, which was all boys, gathered to celebrate our founding anniversary. In year 7, the first year at the school, we were told to dress appropriately so as not to distract the boys during the service. We were 11 years old and we were being taught that our bodies were offensive. Since dating my boyfriend of nearly 4 years, I've been asked on more than one occasion if he knew what I was wearing on a night out, as though I belonged to him, as though my relationship status meant that my sexuality, my autonomy, and my personality were no longer mine. For the record, my boyfriend did not care, and if he had, I would not still be dating him. Women are punished for presenting themselves as sexual beings because our sexuality is something to be feared within a patriarchal system. A woman with cleavage is a woman who's confident, and in turn, a woman who is dangerous. The patriarchy relies on women being subservient to men in all regards, especially sex. Why do you think we call women who sleep around sluts, but men who sleep around fuckboys? Neither have particularly positive connotations, but one is distinctly more punitive. I'd like to ask everyone here today to take some time to unpack the double standards that we hold women and their sexualities to, because our society allows men to make rape jokes, but it doesn't allow women to talk about masturbation. If you're unconvinced that the patriarchy punishes women for being sexual beings, look no further than the phrase, the female orgasm. This label only serves to other the experiences of cis women. This label is also incredibly transphobic. Orgasms are not gendered, a truth that may be hard to swallow for a society that insists on gendering everything. The female orgasm is not real. It has never been real in the sense that it's not distinct from an orgasm. The addition of the word female is purely to signify that women can only appropriate sex, sexuality, and orgasms. The same way that we talk about female firefighters or female police officers, the female orgasm is a linguistic reminder that women's experiences are subservient to men's and that we are not allowed to occupy the mainstream. Not only does this enforce a power dynamic, it is also overly focused on a biological classification of gender. There's an obsession with categorizing us based on our genitalia, and it is absurd. Our society's developed beyond this, but it's time our rhetoric caught up. What is the female orgasm supposed to mean for trans men who have vulvas? What is it supposed to mean for trans women who don't have vulvas? The linguistic challenges that are posed by the simple existence of trans people only highlights the unhealthy obsession with gendering that our society has. WAP reminds us that you can be successful and artistic whilst having and talking about sex. Its explicit nature links partly to its genre, but also to the world that we live in. Women are angry. We are angry at being shamed for existing, and we are done being polite to satisfy a population of men that has only ever mistreated us. You can dislike the song all you want, but if you stay quiet while male artists not only sing explicitly about sex, but also refer to women as bitches, yet go into uproar over 2 black women singing about the same thing, I would ask you to check yourself. You have a right to criticize WAP, and you have a right to your opinion on it, but I'm tired of this criticism repeatedly being aimed at marginalized groups. We hold women to higher standards than men, and we hold black women to near impossible standards. Our criticism does not exist in a void. It exists in an oppressive system, and it is time we start recognizing this. The topic of today's event is sexism and misogyny in the modern world. I find it shocking that in our modern world, we're still having to fight to explain the most basic principles. I find it shocking that in our modern world, we're still having to explain that creating a society that refers to women and sex workers as whores or hoes, but punishing women for reclaiming those same words as symbols of sexual empowerment is sexist. I find it shocking that our modern world degrades women on a daily basis, but cannot fathom why a feminist movement is still needed. It can be really easy to be desensitized to these things, but we cannot give our patriarchal society the satisfaction of staying quiet. We have to remind ourselves that the way we are treated, categorized, and labeled is not right. It is oppressive, it is hierarchical, and it is dehumanizing. Women have sex too. Women are sexual beings. Women are intellects. Women are opinionated. Women enjoy eating, funnily enough. Women like independence. Women are caring. Women are kind. Women are funny. And women can have wet ass pussies. Thanks.
Thank you so much for this. I absolutely loved your speech. And that's one of the things I adore about events like this. I don't know if you guys as well, but I feel that kind of empowerment like inside me. It's like an energy that's coming from you, and it's something really amazing and something special. And it's so important to name the things and like use the name, and don't be afraid to say things, because like there shouldn't be any taboo around things like this. So does anyone have any questions? Yes, please, Dr. Hussein, floor is yours.
Amber, are you going to have that speech published? Because but what I'm saying, I first of all, like I've been doing this for nearly 18, and when I meet young women like you speak like that, it's like, you know what, that fight was so worth it. It was so worth it. So thank you for saying for what you said. Like, you're an absolute great example of when, especially when we talk about race here, what white women like yourself should be doing. So I wanted to thank you. That's all I wanted to say. And I think what you need to, that needs to be published. I think more people need to hear what you've just said.